So, good afternoon, or good evening, or good morning, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm Jarka Glassey. I'm the president of the European Federation of Chemical Engineering, EFCE, and I have taken on this role in January 2026, following 2 terms on the board of EFCE as the vice president executive. By training, I'm a biochemical engineer, and I graduated from the Slovak Technical University in Bratislava in Slovakia. But I really worked all of my professional life as a professor at Newcastle University in the UK, and recently took an early retirement from there to engage more with universities around the world. I am really happy to be involved in the introduction of this webinar of our early career section on landing your first job in academia or industry, tips to stand out in applications and interviews. And really, I just wish I could remain connected, but unfortunately, I will have to drop out and then listen to the recordings, which I'm really looking forward to. But let me say something about the Spotlight Talk series first. So this is our 6th year of the Spotlight Talk initiative, which started in 2020 to keep together the community during COVID pandemic. The success of the previous years convinced us to transform the spotlights into a regular feature of our program. We now have 1 Spotlight Talk series in the odd years and 2 in even years, like this year, 2026. So this spring, 11 of our working parties and sections were delivering over the last 2 weeks 9 webinars of 3 or 4 talks focused on specific topics by leading industrial and academic experts. The series also enables attendees to sample matters in new areas, encouraging cross-fertilization of interest. Well, this is the last webinar, so the complete program of what we've offered this spring is actually available on EFCE website. But if you've missed the session you wanted to watch, just look out for our YouTube channel where the recordings will be available, hopefully soon. A little bit about the EFCE. So EFCE promotes scientific collaboration and supports the work of chemical engineers in 30 European countries, representing more than 100,000 of chemical engineers across Europe. EFCE's working parties and sections cover all major scientific aspects of chemical engineering and are in fact at the core of the organization, forming the scientific engine that drives many of our activities. They provide a really important forum for technical exchange and networking among chemical engineers in Europe. And I'm pleased to say that this year EFCE introduced a new initiative, virtual coffee meetings with the president, so that we can discuss how we can strengthen our collaborations with colleagues. These coffees, unfortunately, are virtual, so you would have to bring your coffee along. They usually take place every third Thursday of the month. Some of the sessions are dedicated to member society representatives, and those people would have been emailed already, so they know which ones they are. But some are open to anyone engaged with EFCE. And for those sessions, you can find links to register on our website. And I really would like to see as many of you as possible to join me and have a chat about how we can make EFCE even stronger. Okay, before concluding, I would like to thank all of the colleagues who worked hard within the working parties, sections, and the wider EFCE for this initiative to happen and to be successful. In particular, many thanks to EFCE's Martin Pu in Toulouse, who, as always, did most of the conceptual setting up and practical activities. So thank you so much, Martin. It's really appreciated. But now I thank you for your attention, and I wish all the speakers and the attendees a fruitful and successful webinar. And I'll hand the word over to Theodoros Papalas, the chair of the section on early career chemical engineers, to start the webinar. The floor is yours, Theodoros.
Thank you very much, Jarka. Let me share my screen. Okay, I hope that you can all see it in full screen mode. Welcome also from my side to the EFCE Spotlight Talks of March 2026. My name is Theodoros Papalas, and as Jarka mentioned, I am the chair of the Early Career Chemical Engineer section of the European Federation of Chemical Engineering since September 2025. I'm a chemical engineer. I did my bachelor and my PhD at the Aristotle University Thessaloniki in Greece. And then I moved at the University of Cambridge, where I'm currently a postdoctoral research associate. But this is until the end of this month because from April, I'm starting my new role as assistant professor at the University of Birmingham. So today I will do a small introduction about the section that we have of the early careers, where our goal is to try to bridge the gap between the graduation and the professional life, either in academia or industry. And to do that, we have built a platform where we are trying to connect all the early career chemical engineers across Europe in a way that we are giving them different upskilling opportunities, and they can also network with each other in order to share experiences, insights, and information. We do have a definition of what we mean as an early career chemical engineer, which is people that hold a bachelor in chemical engineering or are working towards it, and either they are 8 years after their bachelor or master or 4 years after their PhD. So for our section, we do have an organizational structure. As you can see, we have a chair and vice chair, which is me and Ksenia Papchenko, respectively. And we do have a board, which is currently composed of 9 members. And then we have more than 70 general members, which are spread all over Europe, as you can see from the map in this screen. And how we are running things, we do have monthly board meetings, and which is from the members of the board, general meetings where also the general members are attending, and then all the different activities that we are doing, which we call as task forces, we are also running parallel meetings for each of them. So task forces is what we are doing. And as you can see from this screen, we are trying to do many things in order to promote the early careers. We are very active in social media. We do have a LinkedIn account, which has surpassed 3,800 followers, and also an Instagram account. We are contributing to the Spotlight Talks. And with today's Spotlight Talk, we have reached 4 contributions since 2023. We are trying in different conferences to organize an early career program, with the last one being the European Congress of Chemical Engineering that was organized in Portugal, in Lisbon, in Portugal in 2025, where we organized different talks and workshops to upskill early careers, a science slam, we had a photo booth, and we also had a quiz pub. Then we have initiated the Coffee Talks, which aims to connect the early career chemical engineers with the working parties of the EFCE in order for the working parties to introduce themselves to us and the different activities they are doing and the fundamentals of the work that they are working, of the field that they are working on. And so far we have done 4 Coffee Talks. Then we recently also launched our mentoring scheme, where we aim to connect the early career chemical engineers with middle to late career chemical engineers in order for the latter to give some professional career advice on the early careers. We do have the Chemi Navigator, which is a map where we are trying to put all the national chemical engineering societies in order for someone who wants to find something to be easy to find it from this map. But we also want to include all the departments in Europe that are offering either a bachelor, a master, or a PhD in chemical engineering. Then we are giving different travel awards for researchers for them to attend conferences. And we are also choosing one of the plenary lecturers for some specific conferences, which is the early career plenary lecturer. We are also collaborating with the Working Party of Education, where we are making some videos that we are trying to explain in different chemical engineering related phenomena. And I should say that our education videos, Coffee Talks and Spotlight Talks, are uploaded in the EFCE YouTube channel. And some things that we are working on, and you will soon hear from us about, is we are writing our own white opinion paper about new ways for being a chemical engineer. We are about to launch our new series of podcasts where we are approaching early career chemical engineers who have achieved remarkable achievements in their career, and we want to spread to advertise their journey and their story in order for other peers to be inspired. And finally, we are also going to launch a task force which is aimed at raising awareness on equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging in our field. But this is only a few things we are doing, and I said very briefly, if you are more interested, I'm very happy to say that we very recently got published in the Chemical Engineer magazine. And if you're interested, you can please read our small article, which was on the March 2026 issue in 1017, which was co-written by the former and the current chairs and vice chairs of the section. And it highlights our history and governance over the years, the different task forces that we do, and the plans for the future. But today we are here for our spotlight talk. And in order to do that, there is a huge team behind who was working hard in order to make sure that we managed to deliver this efficiently. And this team is led by Dr. Sara Marchini. So I would like to thank Sara for her very important work. And also all the other members, which include Alper, myself, Piero, Esther, Fiammetta, Ayus, and Giuseppe. And today's talk, as we said, the title is Landing Your First Job in Academia or Industry, Tips to Stand Out in Application and Interviews. And we have a very nice program in front of us. We will start by a talk from Dr. Sofia Garcia Fracaro, who will tell us a bit about the anatomy of an effective CV. Then we will move to Dr. Emanuele Moioli, who will tell us about how chemical engineers can fit both in the world of academia and industry. And then we will have a roundtable, which will be composed of 3 panelists, Rapp, Simona, Bargiacchi, and Elise Deblock, who will tell us about how do industrial recruiters look at applications. And this will be moderated by the task force leader, Sara Marchini. In this point, I would like to thank you all for your attention. And I will stop sharing, and I would like to please ask Sofia if she can please share her screen. And while she does that, I will give a very small introduction about Sofia. So Sofia is a chemical engineer from Argentina who used to work as a peer career coach during her master at the Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago. She obtained her PhD degree in immersive learning technologies for training operators in the chemical industry. And she is currently working as the engineering lead for AR and VR in Merck Life Science. And with that, Sofia, I think that the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, everyone. One second. I think now you should see it.
Yes.
Good. Thank you, everyone, for attending this session. We are really excited to see the big number online, and I think it's proof that is an interesting topic for everyone. Let's dive right into it. So today in my presentation, we are going to look at the facts on how to write a CV so it makes a bigger impact in your application. And with this, I'll move to the first. I will just make myself smaller, so perfect. I don't know if you knew, but recruiters spend in the first screening of a CV 6 to 8 seconds from hundreds of CVs that they receive. Here, the big question is, will yours make it past the scan of, okay, yeah, this is a CV worth reading? And this is the first highlight that we want you to remember. You need to make an impact so they actually read your CV. My name is Sofia Garcia Fracaro. As Theodoros said, I'm the engineering lead for augmented reality and virtual reality at Merck Life Science. I'm located in Germany. I'm originally from Argentina, and I did my master's in US, where while I was a master's student, I was working as a peer career coach for 2 years at Illinois Institute of Technology. And in this role, my main activity was to review CVs and give feedback to students that were applying for internships or jobs in US. So I'm not a certified career coach, so that's important to mention. And all the knowledge that I'm going to share are recommendations that I have learned throughout my career. Take them as recommendations, please. You can double check the information, or maybe if you are located in a country that is not part of the ones that I'm going to highlight, just double check the information. And yeah, to build your CV in a effective way. With this, this is an important F to mention. Recruiters and people that read CVs will focus their attention in an F way, which means there are studies that prove that people will read first on the left of the document, and then they will scan quickly the titles and the first sentence of each of the sections, for example. This helps us build our CVs in a way that we can focus our important information on the sections of the CV where for the recruiters are going to read it. So the first takeaway here is, because we want to make an impression quick, we want to make it easier for recruiters to find information fast in our CV and following this format of the F. So the first recommendation here is to write a CV which has clear sections. Use strategically the text with bold, italics, or bullet points. We align it to the left, and we will see more examples for this in a second. We align it to the left for easy scanning. And this is very important because the first human scan will scan the job titles, the company names, the dates, and it has to be clearly identifiable. The second important thing to know is many companies use what is called ATS filters, and this stands for, I wrote it down, Applicant Tracking System. This is when you submit an application to a company and you immediately get a rejection email. This is, of course, no one read your CV. If it is automatically rejected, it's because it went through a computer filter or a computer system. They are checking for keywords. So this is I would say the second takeaway. It's very important that you rewrite your CVs for each job that you're going to apply and try to include the keywords that they are using in the job description. Because maybe you have the experience, but if you are not using similar words or the words that they are looking for in the job description, then your CV might get rejected, not because you didn't have the experience, just because it was not easy to find or didn't pass the first filter. And sorry, I didn't check the time, so it's 20. Okay, good. And now we can go to the anatomy of the CV. What are the sections that we have that have to be yes or yes, and then what are optional things that we can add or not include? Good. This is an old CV of mine. Here the first highlight. As you can see, highlighted in green, we have clear sections. The most typical ones are educational, professional experience, skills, and extracurricular projects. Extracurricular projects can be the title, you can adapt it. For example, in this version of my CV, I added leadership experience. You can fix it in terms of what is your real experience. It could be that you don't have any extracurricular projects, then you don't include it, but education, professional experience, and skills, I would say that they are must-have in your CV. As you can see, this is left aligned on the orange line, and I have kept consistency on fonts. This helps the recruiter identify, okay, clearly this is education, there is a line, and then education is all in capital, in capital, and then professional experience is the same format, again with the line. So if they are interested in reading about my professional experience, they can easily find my professional experience. And the good thing is that there is consistency on how those sections were divided. Again, think if it is a clear structure, it can be easily scanned. When we talk about consistency on type of information, it's not only about the titles of the section, it's only about the information within those titles. Here I have an example of my professional experience, and you can see in red is the title of my role. So I was a modeling engineer of nuclear training simulators. And in this other role, I was a peer career coach. Then I chose to put below the company that I was working for with italics, italics, and the title of the role was in bold. On the right, I chose to have the month and the year of the duration of the work, and then below the city and country where I was working. And you see that I kept this format for all the different roles that I had. Why this helps? If the recruiter reads for the first time the first one, modeling engineer, they see it and easily they can tell, okay, yes, this is the role, this is the dates, and this is the company. Then when they read the second option, they don't have to process again the information. They already know, okay, yes, in the right first line, I will find the dates. Even if it sounds like a silly thing, it helps a lot because you are not wasting 2 milliseconds that it will take someone to process that information. And they are focusing on the important thing, not on what is this data coming from. As I mentioned, it helps the recruiter automatically understand what the information is. Here, I wanted to share that this is really up to you. If you think it's more important to list the company first. We have here another example. Oh, my mouse. Okay. I have example number 2. This colleague chose to have first the company, the city, and the country, and below the items chose to put the title of the role that she was having. And on the right, she didn't include, for example, the month, only the year. So there is no one magic CV that you can build, but it's important that whatever you choose, you keep and repeat it consistently in all the different roles that you have in the professional experience or volunteering experience as well. Good. The next, the first most important thing that you have to have in your CV, of course, is your name. In Europe, is quite normal to travel around, maybe, so the country needs to be there, phone number and email addresses. I have seen CVs without email address, which this will mean like maybe you get automatically rejected because they don't have the time to find your email and how do I contact this person? So please make sure that you have all these basics. Nice to have are the LinkedIn hyperlink. You can add this. So here I have it below my email and my phone number. And please, please, please clean it. So if you go to your LinkedIn profile, on the right, you will have a little pencil. You can click on it and you can edit your personalized URL. Because most of the times this name, like in mine says at LinkedIn/Sofia Garcia Fracaro, in the original one, it had like 5 numbers and letters behind because, I don't know, LinkedIn chose to do this. And then if you copy paste this link as it comes, it will look unclean in your CV creating noise. So you can edit that link and delete the extra information and just keep your name and last name. And if you, for example, I also added my ORCID URL, because if I'm applying for a role that it matters how many papers or which papers I wrote, they can click there and they can see my whole list of publications, for example. Yeah, very good. Photo or no photo. And here again, this is our recommendation. Double check with your recruiter or with the company if in this country they are expecting a photo or not photo. But from researching online, this is the information that I have. So mostly, if you are in the green countries, is add a photo. Is common and expected to have the photo in the CV. But if you are from the orange countries, is discouraged to add a photo. And the blue ones are optional or mixed, and the light green, I couldn't find information. So if you're applying to one of those countries, double check, and still everything double check. This is a recommendation, but it gives a good indication. At least I can say that in Germany, we usually have a photo. Good. Now we move to experience section. So this will be professional experience, and the title, you can adjust it as you want, but some recommendations. Write them in reverse chronological order, which means the current role will be on the top. This is what you're doing now, and then you will go down with the different experiences. Use bullets to explain what you're doing. 2 to 4 per role. Using action verbs. And I will, after this, when I finish, I will share the link in the chat, in the Q&A, so you can find, there is a document from Illinois Institute of Technology that I keep using after all these years, because it has 3 pages of tables that gives you examples of verbs that you can use for your sentences. For example, for research skills, you can have, it's very useful to read, okay, if I'm doing data collection, should I write data collection? No, you are going to say collected 3 million data sets. I don't know. And you can use these to inspire you on how to write those bullet points. The important thing here is to focus on achievements, not only the tasks. And how do we do that? We use numbers to show the impact. And if we see the example, you could write, I'm responsible for managing sales team, or you can use the action verb and say, led 5-person sales team to increase regional sales by 20% in 6 months. In the task will be the same. You're managing the team, but you are giving the recruiter the information of what was the impact that you created in your role. Having numbers helps understand what is the real impact in a tangible way. And with the action verb, you show what it was your action. And this is also important here to tailor the content to the position that you are applying. If the company is asking for managing skills, then let's say you have many tasks and they are asking for someone that can manage a team. Make sure that you add that information in your bullets. Don't assume that it will be automatically understood from the description of the title of your role, for example. I will share the link after. And here I have an example of one of the roles that I adjusted following the same recommendations. In green, we have the verbs that are the action verbs. So designed, implemented, coordinated, conceptualized. In orange, I added numbers. And I completely understand that sometimes it's really difficult to put numbers on things. But if you don't put them, it's going to be even harder for the recruiter to understand what was the impact of your tasks. So try, estimate. You don't have to be 100% specific to the cent of the money that you save in your company. It can be an estimation. Yeah, and I implemented 15 systems or 10 interfaces, or I had an optimization of 50%. And this, this will help the recruiter. You can and you should include keywords of the job description, and this will help you pass the ATS filters. And again, they are looking for impact, not only what you did as a task. Good. Education. Here, always you have flexibility on what to list. I chose to have first the title and then the university, and only I added when I finished. I didn't include it when I started, for example. For all my degrees, I chose to add the master title, the thesis title, because in my opinion, show more information that just doing a bachelor in chemical engineering. I also wanted to add that I have experience designing a production plant, for example. So if this is optional for you to add or not, as it is the GPA. In this version of my resume, I didn't add it. You don't have to. If you think it doesn't add to your CV because, I don't know, your bachelor GPA was low and you think it will hurt, do not include it. But if you think, wow, yeah, this will make a difference, for sure include it. I also added the ORCID number and a QR code to, I think here is to my thesis, I don't remember, or a video that I created, but you can also be flexible on those things. If you have a link that you want them to see, be creative on how you share the information for them to catch their attention. And some final formatting tips. If you're an early career, you should be able to fit everything in one page. Think, if they are not reading more than 8 seconds to say yes or no, they are not going to turn the page to the other side. So if you're an early career, you can fit it in one page. It's been 12 years since I finished my bachelor's, and I still can fit it in one page. So of course, if you want to list all the papers, you might be you have a challenge there, but yeah, try to think about that. If you want to include all your experience or your publications, yeah, maximum 2 pages, it will be the recommendation. Clean fonts recommendations are Arial or Calibri. They are easy to read, but we have some flexibility, but those are the official recommendations. The font size, do not make it super small so you can fit more information. It will not benefit to have all the information if they cannot read it. So you can use 10 to 12 for the body and 14 to 18 for the headers. Keep around 2.5 centimeters on the margins. Ask for feedback, proofread typos, and I already seen 3 typos in my presentation, which doesn't show a good example. But if it is your CV and you are trying to show attention to detail, having typos is not a good start. And please save your resume as a PDF with the first word of the document has to be your last name. And then you can add CV, resume, whatever you want. But think about this, 100 applicants to the same role. The recruiter is going to download all the PDF. It's going to be a folder with 100 CVs. They have to easily find yours. So make sure that you add your last name to the name as well. Red flags, of course, yeah, typos as I mentioned, irrelevant information. If you play fantastic soccer or football, but it doesn't matter if you're to a role in a professor of chemical engineering, do not add it. It will not add an impact unless you want to say that you are the leader of the team and you want to show a different skill. Then you can include it. Walls of text, they are not going to read it. And you don't need to include your age, the date of birth, or if you are married or not. And that's not required anymore. And even in some countries, they are not allowed to ask you if you are, that information. And finally, here I have 2 examples of CVs. These are from Canva. So Canva has 3 templates that you can have, I don't know how many, but like really a lot. And you can find the one that you feel more reflected. Word and LaTeX as well have good templates, and you can, explore. Many one recommendation is these ones might be a little bit less easy for the ATS filters to scan. But for me, I feel more my personality is more reflective when I have a little bit more color. So I chose to have the one with more color, but it could be the simple black and white one that you create with Word as well. And with that, thank you very much. I will open here the questions. Yeah, here.
Thank you very much, Sofia, for the very nice presentation. We do have some time for questions. Please, for the attendance, if you have, you can put them in the Q&A box, and I will very gladly read them, and Sofia will answer. So I will give a few minutes, but until one question pops up, I can do one question. So yes, Sofia, thank you very much for all this information. I don't know if you could tell us many times when there's this, let's say, idea that we do have a CV which could fit in many different job applications, but there is this tendency where when we are applying something very specific that we need to tailor it. So we don't use a specific template. So what is your advice on that? How should the CV be tailored to match a specific job application?
Okay, so and I have done this the past 2 weeks as well with a friend of mine. What is the easiest thing will be, okay, you take the job posting from the company, and they most likely are going to have a list of requirements or expectations of people that they want to hire. And then you try to match your experience. It would be really unlikely that you have everything 100%. And that's maybe another recommendation. Even if you don't have 100%, you can still apply. The chances are that no one is going to have 100%. And then you can learn on the job. So still applied, I would say if you have a 70%, you can still apply. But anyhow, take the information that they list on the jobs in the job description and try to add those words or experience in your bullet points. So if they are asking for experience in writing documentation for the medical industry, something like this. You do have experience, but you're not going to write exactly as they have it on the job description. So what you can write is in one of the tasks of the role that you have that experience is led the, I don't know, okay, like give me 1 second to think, but kind of build it of, I did that, but show it with examples. So it could be manage the production of 3 documents used for the medical industry. I don't know, like you have to be creative, and most likely AI can also help write those sentences so they match the job description. But that's how you will tailor it for each job application. You don't have to change the whole CV. It will be like maybe tweak it 3 lines, and then it will be more impactful.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Sofia. I can say your presentation was very popular. We have 16 questions, which unfortunately we cannot answer all of them in order to keep in the schedule. But if I can just pick 1 or 2, could you tell us, Sofia, what is the main difference between a CV for industry and academia?
Again, not an expert, and it will really depend on the job. But for industry, most likely you don't need to list any of your publications or any of your papers that you have written. Most likely, okay? Because they are looking for more on the experience, and you can say, yes, I wrote 20 papers, but they are going to be looking for more practical experience, most likely. And also maybe we can come back to this question during the roundtable. But yeah, on the academia application, then I will recommend that you list all your experience in the conferences that you participated, awards that you received, giving poster awards when you were a student, all those activities that are encouraged by your supervisor in your research. They are encouraged because they make an impact for academia as well. So that will be my recommendation.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Sofia. We will put you a small tasks if you would like to take a look in all these questions.
I will
if you
take a
would
look.
like to type some answers, I think it will be very helpful for all the people that are asking. But I think that we will have to move forward to our schedule. And I would like to please ask our next speaker, Emanuele Moioli, if he can please share his screen. And in the intermediate, I would like to give a small introduction about him. So Emanuele Moioli is an associate professor at Politecnico di Milano, where his research integrates chemical reaction engineering, catalysis, process intensification, machine learning, and techno-economic assessment to advance the multi-scale development of different chemical processes. He earned 2 master degrees from Politecnico di Milano and Politecnico di Torino, followed by a PhD at the University of Erlangen in Germany. And then he carried out his postdoctoral research at EPFL and the Paul Scherrer Institute in Switzerland, while he also gained some industrial experience by working at Lonza and Canadavia Innova companies. And his work has been recognized with several awards, most notably the prestigious Hans Hofmann Prize from Tehima for outstanding achievements in chemical reaction engineering. So for attendance, please, if you have questions, you can continue putting them in the Q&A. And Emanuele, the floor is yours.
So thank you, Theodoros, for the nice introduction. Actually, after all of this, I could even skip the first 3 slides, I think, but I will just go through them just to show you a little bit how the development of a career of a person in academia may look like. So, as you mentioned, I started from Milan, so I'm originally from north of Italy. And there I had my master degree, so main master degree at Politecnico di Milano in chemical engineering. And also on the other side, I could do a special course, a double degree course with Politecnico di Torino that is called Alta Scuola Politecnica, and that was also helped me to get a lot of transdisciplinary courses so that I could a bit broaden my expertise. And this, of course, ended up with a Master of Science also there in 2015. Then I had my PhD, so I had the opportunity to work in a special program, a Marie Curie program, which allowed me to do also long-term secondments in industry. So I was working between the FAU in Erlangen in Germany and Lonza in Switzerland. And this led me to the PhD that I earned in 2018. And I will explain you later a little bit more of let's say, my experience, how to get from here to there. But my next step was then a first postdoctoral experience at a PFL, so in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. And then I moved to PSI, so Paul Scherrer Institute, also in Switzerland, but this time near Zurich for another postdoc. And then at that point, also I will explain you more in detail very soon, I decided to actually change completely and I moved to industry. And I had an experience at a company called Hitachi Zosen Innova, working mostly on waste to energy plants. And this actually lasted only a little bit more than 1 year and a half, because afterwards, then academia called me back because I could achieve a very nice project from the Swiss National Science Foundation with a specific, um, let's call it, funding scheme for early career researchers, which is called SNF Ambizione. And this allowed me to go back to PSI with budget to start my first independent position as a research group leader. And then, in very short time from this, then I got my permanent position as a professor at Politecnico di Milano, where I already started in September 2024. So this scene, let's say, all in a row, may look like a completely well-planned career, but actually this was completely not the case. So I will start showing you a bit of the issues related to this, which the number one is, for example, where did I live? So I stayed until 2014, 2015 in Italy. Then I moved mostly to Germany for my PhD. And then I moved to the French-speaking part of Switzerland for 2 years. And then I could live for another 4 years in the German-speaking part of Switzerland. And now, since 2024, I'm actually dividing my life between Switzerland and Italy, which makes it very tiring, but also very interesting, I would say. And all these movements came together with a lot of challenges and opportunities. I mean, as a main opportunity, of course, now I know 4 languages. I know how many academic and industrial systems works. But on the other side, this was also quite an important drawback because moving to a place where you do not really know the language is very challenging, I have to tell. And for example, I need, together with my main research activities, I needed to learn 2 new languages, actually, German and French. And I can tell you, this is quite challenging. On top of this, actually, I want to share with you a little bit the idea how my career actually evolved. What could be seen as a very thought through experience actually was the process of going through a lot of interviews, a lot of rejection, a few offers, and also, let's say, the need to decide what do I want to do next. So as mentioned, I finished my first master's in 2014. So back then it was very simple. I decided to pursue a PhD. That was my desire. And then what happened is that I had one interview and I got directly the offer from this interview. So it was very nice. I could move directly to FAU and let's say it was on top of my list, my first interview, and that went very well. However, then after my PhD, I thought that maybe academia was not really for me. I didn't have too many papers published after my PhD. And then I thought it could be good to go back to industry. But actually, this did not work at all. Even though I had sent, of course, a lot of applications. I had a few interviews, and I didn't get any offer. On the other side, when I started being a bit desperate, let's say, about industry, I thought, okay, but then maybe it could also be interesting to remain in academia. And I started applying to positions for academia. And actually, in that side, I was much more successful. And I could even choose between 2 opportunities, which I received an offer. And I decided to take the offer from EPFL. I will tell you later. I mean, a lot of elements play a role in these decisions, and for me, it was the right time to move to EPFL. There, I had a project that in principle was running for a little bit more than 2 years. And then when I saw the approaching of the end of my research contract, then I decided to move forward. And that's the moment where I started a little bit applying to professorships. I started applying for a fellowship. I applied for example, for a Marie Curie fellowship. Applied to postdoc positions, and I also thought, well, but I really like being in this French-speaking part of Switzerland, so why cannot I stay here in industry? Result is this. Again, I had no offers from industry. I had a few interviews in the area, but no offers. While I had a few interviews from academia, and I got the offer from the Paul Scherrer Institute, which I decided to accept. And actually, at this point, I started understanding a bit more how academia works. I started focusing on more, let's say, structured positions like professorship, group leaders. And I focused less on going back to industry when my let's say a temporary position at PSI was about to expire. What happened in that case? I had a lot of interviews in academia, really a lot, but in this case, I got no offer. So I really got frustrated about this. And for this reason, I decided to focus a little bit more on the industrial side. And I got a very nice offer from Hitachi Zosu Nova, which allowed me to stay in the region where I was living, from very close to the Paul Scherrer Institute. And I have to be honest, I was not super enthusiastic at that point to go to industry, but that turned out to be a very, very good choice because it gave me also a new perspective on things. And also, I understood much more what are the important things that brings you forward in your research career. Nevertheless, before leaving PSI, I actually ended in the application for the SNF funding scheme, my second application, because the first in 2021 was rejected. And eventually, in 2023, I got this position, which I also had to do an interview for that, because for large funding schemes, you need to go through interviews anyway. And as mentioned, I went back to PSI with my own group. And then from that moment, it was clear to me that I would remain in academia. I started investing time to get positions in academia. And actually, in the space of 1 year, I got several interviews. I got also two offers, and I decided to move to Politecnico di Milano, where I got a tenured position. So you see, my career was not linear at all. It was a lot of thinking through it. What shall I do next? Let's try and see what I can do. So this brought me actually to understand that in job hunting, there are major trade-offs, especially between three different questions that you should pose yourself, which for me are where, when, and what. So where do I want to work? What do I want to do? And when do I want to get this job? And actually, this is, I call it trade-off, because I saw that almost never you will be able to have all the three of them together. It's very difficult. So you need somehow to prioritize about them. And here I tried to summarize a little bit among various type of choices that you may have. For example, on the where side, if I want to decide where I live, I have my roots, I don't want to move, then of course, the drawback is that I need to take whatever I find. So it's not so likely that you will get the academic position that you want or that job in that industry that you want. If we focus on the what, it's possible that if I want to focus absolutely on what do I want, so for example, if I want a job in academia, when I decided that I absolutely wanted to become a permanent professor or something similar, then of course I needed to say now I need to adapt to the where. So, and at the end, if I want to, I absolutely cannot compromise on what and where. So if I want to have a job, for example, in academia in this place, then I may have to wait. So I may have to wait that the opportunity arises, that positions get available or something like that. So as you see, it's very difficult to put these 3 points together one after the other. In my career, I also tried to understand what are the golden rules, and this is something that now I would really like to share with you. So, what should I consider when I do job hunting? So, first of all, I need to understand what is my main priority. So, between where, when, and what is most important for me? Do I want to stay in academia? Absolutely. Do I want to stay close to my family? You need to decide. This is for sure the number one, especially because I discovered in my own experience that you need to be fine with yourself because the job is not everything in your life, and you really need to be fine with what you do, where you do it. Otherwise, it will be very tough. And then you need to target well how to realize that. So if my priority is what I want to do, then you should, let's say, address your life careers, life choices according to that. So if you want to go in academia, then you will need to prioritize certain things. And I will come back to this later. And the third point is also to be resilient because it's, first of all, very difficult to have a career as planned. So this is very, very difficult. So it's important to be resilient. So to be able to overpass delusions, for examples, and also to understand that sometimes changes in objectives may be beneficial. For me, going at a certain point of my life into industry was extremely beneficial. It gave me a lot of new views on the world, on the life, and the company that I was working with still remains my main collaborator. Also now that I'm a professor. So how can we actually understand our main priority? First of all, there is no real general rule on this. This is very personal and it is influenced by 1,000 factors. As I mentioned, one can be very constrained for family reasons. I mentioned about languages. Maybe I don't want when I am 30 to go to a place where I don't know the language. This is fair, but then this really should influence the main priorities. And this is actually the main decision criterion among where, what, and when. So you should put some clear endpoints that you say, if I don't want to travel outside my country, outside my continent, then of course I will need to compromise on the other two factors. All right, and these are really the general rules that apply to whatever kind of job you want to hunt. And you need to target well how to realize that. Because the first thing that you need to ask yourself when you are job hunting, so if I want to become professor, I should think why a certain job should want me. So why a certain search committee should decide for me to go for me instead of 100 other candidates. So this is important to ask yourself. Also, you should understand why do you want that job? Because I really saw in my life that sometimes actually I thought I was wanting something, but actually this was not really corresponding to what I wanted. And this is also, unfortunately, a wrong question because unless you start your own business, it's always reverse. So people that are hiring you should want you rather than you wanted to work with them. And also never forget that quality over quantity also in job hunting. So it could be very inefficient, ineffective, and also frustrating to just apply to any possible job to do repeated identical job applications because many times one very well targeted job application is better than 100 random job applications. All right, and this is, as I mentioned, something that is valid whatever you want to do. Then what you also need to do is to be resilient. So changes in objectives may be beneficial. This was precisely my story of my life. So if my desired position does not come, you should ask yourself, first of all, if it is a matter of skills. So for example, the industry now is asking machine learning skills for everybody. So if I don't have them, let's try to get them somehow. If it is a matter of place, you should try to eliminate the hurdles there. Typically, if you want to work in a place, it's very beneficial to be able to be working in the language of that place, typical hurdle that you should need to eliminate. But also there are more cultural hurdles. For example, you need to understand how the system works and adapt to the system. And if it is really just a matter of time, try to be patient. You can really find a way to be patient and focus on certain things that make you feel well while the position that you want occurs. All right, now let's go to some specific suggestions for the time remaining. So first, I will talk a little bit about academia. So academia sometimes operates a little bit like a black box, and I want to help you a little bit to open this black box. The first thing that you should understand is that the universities, especially when they want to hire professors or permanent positions, they are investing in you. Ideally, they want to have you there until you retire. So they are not purchasing you now, what you are now, but you are purchasing a potential. So what are you going? And so that's why your research plan must be attractive for them and not for today. So your research must appear leading for the next 20 plus year. And on the other side, it's very, very important that you should not be a copy of someone that is already there. So if your role model is in that university, it's very difficult that they will also get you there because this is something that they already have. Why should they purchase? If I have already my table full of something, I will not purchase again the same thing. And on the other side, your ambition must really be fitting to the budget they have. So you should try to understand what that university is known for, what they have, and understanding if on one side you can be well complementary with the other people. So if you are filling a research gap, and also, for example, if you can use well instruments that are there. Because if I go to a place and I have in my research plan that I need a very specific machine that costs a lot of money and they don't have it, maybe they will discard you just for this reason because they don't want to invest in you and in machinery. So that's something that you always need to pay attention to. And these are information that you can find normally in university websites. So my few suggestions what to do. Normally it's understand well how your target universities work, especially how the system works, because in some countries there are really formal hurdles that you need to pass. For example, habilitation, specific requirements on your time after PhD. These are things that you really need to understand, first of all. And you need to adapt to the system as much as possible for this. And at the end, you also need to be patient and develop skills in the meantime. So if you are in the latest part of your PhD, if you are doing a postdoc, that's the perfect time to develop the skills for the kind of universities you want to work in afterwards. And very, very important, get funding. That is the golden standard of academia. So it doesn't matter how small it is, but it's very important to show that you can get independence to get money and that you actually can manage money. So that's very, very important for any corner of academia. So this is about academia. A few suggestions about industry instead. Industry is completely different because the main rule is that companies need you to make money. This you always need to keep in mind. So you should really understand that people need to have a benefit from hiring you and from giving you a job. So first of all, your skills and experience must be attractive for them. So there are two ways in which this should be attractive. One is they need your expertise for projects. So check what the company does, where the company does it, what kind of projects they are working on, and try to understand if they really need you and target your application to this expertise that they need. And this is completely different according to the role you want to get and the time, the moment in your career. And also, you should understand on the other side if, for example, you have critical skills that they are missing. So it could be that they may really want you because you know very well about a methodology, about a certain type of projects, even. Why not? And then, unfortunately, you already saw in the previous talk, filters are merciful. So it's much better if you already know someone, and also you should try all the options to get to know people. So, for example, with fairs, events, and social media. And at the end, also so this is for industry, what to do normally. First of all, understand the hiring procedure of target companies. So there are, for example, companies that tend to hire not too much on open applications. So try to ask to people that are already there. Don't be afraid of asking people. Second, also here, develop and show the right skill set, and consider that the devil stays in details, because many times you will have a lot of candidates that are, let's say, similar to you, and maybe the decision is really made on details. And at the end, especially here in academia, but especially in industry, do not get discouraged by rejection. And you can even try again many times to the same company, and eventually the right time comes. And the golden rule should be keep trying in this case. So don't really get discouraged. All right. This brings me to general conclusions. So there is only one real secret, that is develop your network. So get to know people, get to know where you may be ending up working. Try to understand in the place where you live how the academic and or industrial field works, and get connected to people. And great example are international associations like the EARLYs, specialized networks like all the EFCE member societies, and why not even other student associations, even more local, that can very help you. All right. And with this, I hope I was not too boring, and I would like to thank you all for your attention, and I'm really happy to take any questions. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Emanuele, for sharing your journey with us and all these useful advices and tips. So I open the floor for questions. There is some time. There are a few questions, and I will read one of them from the Q&A box. So how do you overcome the argument of overqualification industry sometimes pulls out against people with a PhD?
That's a important topic, yes. So many times, if they talk about overqualification, it's actually for you, because I can tell you, if you end up in a job in which you are overqualified, it will be a nightmare. So, in my opinion, if you get a feedback from a company that they tell you are overqualified, the best thing to do is actually to ask, yeah, but what kind of position do you think I would fit in? So try also in this case to get as much information as possible, and try to understand where your overqualification finishes.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you very much. I see there is a very also similar question about the PhD that was answered. If I can ask one question. So since you've been both in academia and in industry, could you tell us of what strategies help to maintain a flexibility in career options so that you can move easily from one to another? So what is these things that we need to be flexible?
That's super difficult because especially in academia nowadays, where in a lot of countries you become professor super young, it's very difficult to move out of academia to industry and back. For me, the reason of success in that case was that I convinced the company I was working for to anyway, so to say, keep me alive in academia. So to have, first of all, collaborations with academia, and second, I could still write a couple of papers. Or even better, I want to be honest in this with this audience. I kept a few papers open to be finished while I was still working I was already working in industry. So the point is, if you go completely out, it becomes irreversible after a few years in certain systems. There are other systems in which you can come back anytime. Really, in this, you need to understand your target system, how it works.
Great. Thank you very much, Emanuele. I will also put this small task to you that if you can please check the Q&A box, if you can answer any question that
Sure.
is written, and we will not answer it now because of the time constraint. But I think that we can move forward to our schedule. So the next thing on the list is the roundtable. So I would like to give the floor to Sara Marchini, who is the Spotlight Talks Task Force leader, who will moderate the session. So from now on, Sara, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Theodoros, and a warm thank you to all the speakers, to Sofia and Emanuele. I think we're giving some material to think about to our young audience. Welcome also from my side to this webinar. My name is Sara Marchini. I'm a research group leader at Dresden University of Technology in Germany, and I'm also a board member of the early career section of EFCE. It is my pleasure to introduce my three panelists, or our three panelists today, starting from Simona Bargiacchi. She is a chemical engineer and she began her career as an R&D manager. And over the years, she developed strong project management capability and then moved into increasingly strategic roles within organizations. She is currently responsible for people and culture initiatives and for fostering relationships with universities at Cromology, Italy. So as first speaker from Italy, welcome, Simona. Then I would like to introduce Dr. Elise Deblock. She's also chemical engineer by training and graduated with a PhD in France and an MBA in the USA. She has been working first in innovation management and then moved to communication and finally to HR. She has been working in several international companies and currently she's Chief HR Officer of Ekimetrics. She's based in France. So welcome, Elise.
Hello.
And then I have the third panelist, Dr. Lea Rapp. She has a bachelor and master in biotechnology from the University of Stuttgart. She also graduated with a PhD in biocatalysis, also in Stuttgart, Germany. She's currently at BASF. She has been working first as a lab team leader and then later transitioned to an HR role. Currently, she is a senior HR specialist, and she is basically into talent sourcing and community management for R&D. So welcome, Lea, also to you.
Thank you, Sara.
So please also to the audience, feel free to keep posting your questions. I know that Sofia and also Emanuele have been very busy answering them. I'm also seeing the questions in the background. If you have any question that should go specifically to one of the panelists, maybe because of regional interest and so on, please feel free to indicate so using a tag or anything. Just write their name. While we wait, some questions get in from the audience. My first question that I have also comes from taking inspiration from the talk of Sofia, who told us that recruiters apparently spend only 6 to 8 seconds scanning a CV. Well, that's rough because I spent 6 to 8 days to prepare mine. But tell me, what's the secret? When you first open an application, Lea, you may maybe start. When you first open an application, what makes the difference if you keep reading or if you actually reject straight away?
Yeah, thank you. That's crazy. So 6 to 8 seconds. I have never thought of that it's that fast, but obviously. Yeah, so first, what keeps me reading? It's definitely the overall presentation. Yeah, if you first open a CV, all is about the formatting, that it's consistent. I mean, yeah, Sofia already said it's the most important thing is consistency, the formatting, consistent formatting, no chaos. It has to be short. No one would read 2, 3, 4 pages. And yeah, a clear structure. It has to be easy to scan. So Sofia also talked about the sections. So I definitely have to see directly the experience, the education, internship section or working students, other activities, some engagement skills. If you don't put it into sections, but only have it in a chronological order, it's super hard to scan. Yeah. Then I don't, then I would see if there are any gaps, but that's not the most important. Yeah. The most important is I need to see experience, education, and so on. So the different sections. And of course, the relevance to the role. So that's, I mean, after scanning the sections, it's the most important thing is that it has to be relevant to the role. If you imagine there's a role, and I keep it really simple. I say we are looking for a HPLC professional because we have no one in the whole company having a clue about HPLC, and we don't see any HPLC like experience in the CV. Then yeah, it's no relevance to the role.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, this would of course also wouldn't let me reject it quickly. Yeah, if of course
I see.
It has zero connection to the role. Yeah, or if there are missing documents.
Okay.
And maybe last thing is maybe it would not reject it directly, but because I saw it in the question, so I would also go to answer it here. For me or for the industry, it's not that relevant to list every publication. So please don't take a whole a page to list every publication, every conference poster, every talk, every lab course. And I've seen it, but so it makes the CV huge, but it's not relevant. So you can use links, work with links. Yeah, maybe as Sofia also said to LinkedIn. That's perfect. You can list everything there, and then yeah, you can get back to it if you are looking for this specific HPLC role, for example.
I see. Thank you. Thank you very much for your perspective. So you have mentioned experience that is relevant to the role. I think we have a lot of people in the audience who don't have any experience. And my question would go this time to Simona, for example. So you hire a lot directly. You mentioned you are responsible for relation to universities, so you must see a lot of early careers. So what is it that makes the difference between a graduate and another one when they all are at entry level? What signals it more reliably?
When people are at the entry level, of course, potential often matters most than experience. And so signals that we care about most are adaptability and learning agility. So what I suggest people to be prepared to share real life examples that can demonstrate these abilities. Whether these real life examples come from their school, their work, their volunteer work, or internship or projects, it is okay. But real life examples that explain how they are able to learn very quickly, because it's really important now, because the skills became obsolete, unfortunately, very quickly. And so it's important the learning agility and adaptability to the new role and new skills.
And Simona, would that be that would be then for the interview to bring the real world examples? Yes. Okay.
Yeah, for the interview.
Okay.
Because sometimes they say, yes, I am adaptable. I learn very quick. Okay, so please tell me a real experience in which you demonstrate this, and this is key.
I see. We also have a question from the audience already. I think it fits, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it. It goes to Lea, but it actually goes to all of you. What is expected in a cover letter? So would this that you're mentioning, for example, be expected in a cover letter, or rather not? So yeah, what's the idea? Maybe Elise, you could start, and then you could just let me know what you think about it.
My first answer would be, we don't look at the cover letter. Quickly, I mean, what I think is extremely important is the resume, the CV.
Yeah.
And then to make the selection and to meet the people. And I would like to reinforce what Simona said. When you are early in your career, what we will focus on is on your CV is the way we talk about your internships. And following what Sofia said, what was the context? What was my role? What did I deliver and for which impact? And then during the interview, we are going to look at how you did that. How did you demonstrate agility? Did you demonstrate learning willingness? This is really what we are looking for. And so just to reinforce Simona's point. But for the cover letter, my advice would be just customize your resume. This is your resume, which is going through the ATS. This is your resume who mainly is going through the recruiters' teams, and that will open the door for a first interview. So maybe my colleagues won't agree, but I would. That's my point of view for my company today.
I see. Simona, please. Maybe you would like to share.
Yeah, okay. I share my point of view. I agree with Elise that we don't usually ask for a presentation letter, but some companies does.
Yes, that's
and
true.
If they ask for a presentation letter, my advice is to write this letter with a recruiter perspective, company perspective. So include what you can do for the company and why you are interested in this specific company. But you have to explain to the company why you are the best fit for the company, what problem you can solve for them. This is the ideal cover letter if the company asks the cover letter. Like Elise, we don't ask for it.
Lea, how is it?
Yeah. Maybe I can add because we ask for it. actually, so in my perspective, I totally agree with Elise and Simona. So this is the last I read is the cover letter, and usually I don't read it through. So actually, it's on the plan to ask for a cover letter, but in my case, yeah, I care about the CVs much more. What I do care, if I open the cover letters and they look all the same, but this is also, it's only my perspective. If I read the 15th cover letter starting with the same sentence, I'm already so bored. I'm like, oh, it's the same again. So if it's super generic, kind of this mass application style where it says, I would work anywhere, that's not a great cover letter. Yeah, you have to point out your skills, and you need to know somehow where you would be a fit, and not just to sound kind of desperate. I don't need a job. I need a job. Of course, I mean, we all, let's be honest, we all need jobs because we need money. We need money for our lives. But you need to tell for the position, where are you good at? Where is your passion? Where can you be a benefit for the company, right? And yeah, please, no AI generated mass generic,
Yes.
with dear hiring team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lea. Someone had to say that. I now would like to move to a question that is also popping up in the audience. I had planned it too, so I will just try to summarize. It's a bit of a delicate one. Elise, maybe first to you and then to all the others. We have heard a lot about age. We have heard a lot about candidates being worried about non-linear career paths. And also about, life just happens. So maybe you have a gap because you needed to take care of a relative who was ill, or maybe you were ill yourself and therefore you had some delay. So what should you do? Should you be open about it? Should you wait for the interview? How much should you justify, or parental leave as well? How much should you be justifying this kind of gaps that might appear on your CV without being too apologetic? So what is important to let the recruiter know without looking for excuses? I'm not sure whether I could give the question.
Yes, I think it's a very interesting question. I think that things have changed a lot regarding that this kind of event that can happen to everyone for very, very different reasons. And so my first answer is to be honest. I mean, if you have decided, or might not be your decision, but it can be event of the life. If you had a break, you had a break, and my recommendation is to be completely transparent and to mention it in your resume to ensure the continuum with what you can say, what you want to say also. And I think it's, then in the interview, I mean, we will ask the question, do you want to talk about that? And if it's private, it's private. What is important? So my point is, ensure the continuum in your resume and highlight that you had a sabbatical year, or for personal reasons you had to stop working. That's okay. I would manage this way. This is my recommendation. And then during the interview, I think what is important for us, and it was mentioned by Simona, we are looking, we want to meet people. When interview, it's about meeting someone, understanding who we have in front of us, and also to introduce our company for the person to understand what is that company, what is the culture. And so what is important is what you get out of this moment of your life. How does this experience, whatever it is, make you stronger to apply to the role? It has been a learning moment, whatever it is. And this is what makes this moment important in your own trajectory. So you say whatever you want, but be honest and be ready to talk about it in a way that shows that you learn from it. And that's something you can bring to the company. Taking care of someone in your family, it's a difficult moment, but it's a learning experience. It's a learning experience that makes you stronger in some situations, for example. So this is the angle I would suggest.
Thank you so much, Elise. I think this also helps a lot of our young people to chill out a little and to not be so scared about telling recruiters about these kind of things. Simona, I saw some nodding from your side as well. Would you maybe like to jump in on this one?
No, I completely agree with Elise. I completely agree. Things have changed a lot. Now we can talk about this subject at work, even in an interview. And also our workplaces are more human, more attentive to human relations and also to human side of the people. It has been changed a lot. I've been working since 2003. And so more than 20 years, and I've seen a lot of changes.
Thanks, Simona. Lea, maybe something about the German perspective too? I think it's an important topic, so I think it's nice that we all say something about this.
It is. I mean, I would definitely not hide it. I would talk openly, yeah. And I think the only thing which I could add is don't apologize for normal life events.
Yes. Thank you very much. I would like now to go on, if you agree, with a little bit of a more lighter topic after this bit emotional one. There would be, there's a question coming in from the audience about the LinkedIn profile. So you mentioned that briefly, Lea, that maybe we should put the LinkedIn. Sofia also was talking about it. My question goes to all three of you. I know you're active, all three of you on LinkedIn. Do you actually look the LinkedIn profile of candidates, and what do you expect to find there? Maybe Lea, you could start.
I would start. Okay. So good question. It depends on the role, what we are looking for, yeah? If maybe let's get back to this very simple example with the HPLC really, what did I say? Yeah, some professional. Let's just keep it simple, HPLC professional. And I'm looking into maybe I need in a role I need some very specific methodologies, and I would definitely highlight it in the CV, but not highlight every paper I've wrote on that methods. But yeah, then give the link to LinkedIn, and that's where I would definitely look into LinkedIn and would look into all the papers if I see the specific methods, tasks I'm looking for. Other than that, if it's more general, maybe not. Maybe then I would not looked into LinkedIn, but I'm quite curious on what the other two would do.
I can answer. I'm very interested. I go to LinkedIn in addition to the resume to look at the way the person is describing himself or herself. The 5 lines on the top, I find that very interesting because we don't have an equivalent space on the resume. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking for that piece because most of the time then experience are described in the same way than the resume. And sometimes for more senior roles, I'm looking at the recommendations. I know that I won't find the challenging ones, but I think that they give a flavor of the person in actions in different contexts and in different roles.
Simona, maybe you can jump in.
We usually hire 90% of people through LinkedIn. So we use LinkedIn a lot. We have a LinkedIn recruiting license, and we do the most of hiring process by ourselves. So for us, LinkedIn profile is key. We look at the network of people We look also if they usually communicate on LinkedIn or not, because it is a signal. If they communicate on LinkedIn, we can assume that they can communicate effectively, and it is a key skills in today's workplace. And also, sometimes, very often, I see that they are in connection with other people that I know, and so it's easy to get in touch with people and to have a little call, so to understand who is the people behind the LinkedIn profile. So for us, LinkedIn profile is key. Is the thing that we go and look just after reading the CV. And we really appreciate if people, if they connect directly with us, because it shows interest in our company. When we interview people, one of the first question we pose them is that if they know our company, because we would like to understand the real interest in our company. This is important for us.
I see. Thank you very much. Sorry, someone wanted to say something? No, then we just lagged in my headphones. Apologies. Yes, thank you very much to all three of you for giving these insights. I think we, as early careers, we're also very active on LinkedIn, and we see how these channels are increasingly important in our professional development and careers. Thank you for that. So I have another question that is inspired by one that was in the audience, and also it's inspired by the talks of Sofia and Emanuele, in which basically they mentioned asking for feedback. So when you get rejected, and usually when you apply for jobs, there are many, many more times that you get a rejection than you actually get the job. So my question would be, is it appropriate to contact the recruiter and ask for feedback? So asking why did the application get rejected, and how do you react to it? Elise, maybe you could start.
As part of our process, as soon as you get at least one interview, you receive a feedback automatically. Okay. That means that you will be in touch with someone in my organization who will share with you the why you won't go further in the process. That's when you get the first interview. I have to say, when it's the ATS or the recruiter rejecting resumes, I'm going to be honest, we don't give feedback to that. I mean, last year we received, we are a small organization, 55,000 resumes. So we select 10% for our first interview in average. So we cannot manage the feedback. And so I think it's a very good practice to connect with the team and to ask for feedback. And they will give it with, I hope, from my team, a lot of willingness to help the person to ensure that the next try will be with more impact. So yes, I think it's a good practice.
Thank you, Elise. Leah, maybe you could also comment briefly.
Yeah. So regarding the feedback, I know that if you came to the first round of invitation and you got invited and had a talk, you were giving a talk and you were talking not only to recruiters but also to the actual hiring managers and to the teams, then you can definitely ask for feedback. But I think also before, so if the application gets rejected before, I don't think that we give feedback, because we get so many applications. We don't have that many recruiters. We don't, look so detailed into every application. We just couldn't handle it.
Of course. Yes, Simona.
Yeah, it's the same also for us. But I would like to add something. Sometimes it's not the person that is not okay when you are not hired, but it is because you don't fit with the organization that is in place before you. So sometimes you have all the skills, but simply are not your skills are not fitting or with the organization that is in place. So it's important to ask for feedback and to be prepared to receive the feedback because it's important for you, for your growth, to understand why you didn't receive the job offer. Usually, the most of the time, we have 2 or 3 candidates that are almost equal, but we choose the one that fits better in the environment that we are going to insert in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting perspective. Thank you for adding that. I would now actually like to also switch a little. We have heard a lot about PhD. We have seen 2 of you are holding a PhD. If I'm not wrong, Simona, right? You don't.
No.
Okay,
No.
yes, I didn't find it. I thought so. Okay, so 2 of you are holding a PhD. There are a lot of people in the audience who hold a PhD and then are looking to switch from academia to industry. And we have seen also in the storyline of Emanuele that he also got a lot of rejections from industry. Interestingly enough, when he was at a level in which I would say, okay, it's difficult now to switch because after a couple of postdocs, it's like, then he got the position. So my question would be, it's a bit spontaneous, but maybe Elise, you could comment on that since you have a PhD in chemical engineering yourself. Are there roles that clearly require a PhD or where a PhD is considered a clear advantage? Could you give us some examples?
It's a little bit challenging for me because I'm not working in an environment today where we hire people with PhD, but I'm in data science now, so it's completely different. But if I look back on my own experience in previous company, I mean, we had a lot of department, research and development, and even pilot where a PhD was really a plus. And if I remember well, 70% of early recruitment, early in the career recruitment, were with people with a PhD. I think what is important, and with regard of what Emanuele said, is that for me, a PhD is a learning experience. It's like in a certain way, you have to see it as one job. It's your first job. And it's a first job during which you achieve something. If I come back to the presentation of Sofia, you deliver something, you learn things, and you bring that to the company you apply to. And so for me, when someone with a PhD, it's a person that develops skills in terms of autonomy, in ability to solve complex problems, ability to write. Running a PhD, it's about curiosity, ability to challenge yourself, to step back. So it develops a lot of soft skills out of the knowledge acquired during the PhD, but a lot of soft skills that are extremely important and useful in any position. So my recommendation will be address it and talk about your PhD as a professional experience. Mm-hmm. That would be my words on that.
Thank you, Elise. Simona, maybe you might comment on that.
For me, I think PhD can be an added value when you have a complex research project in your company. And sometimes it happens. For complex research project, I mean a project that involves other companies with you, research centers, university, for example, projects founded by European Union. This will be a context in which I can see an added value by a PhD. In other positions that are more concrete and more simple, I think the recruiter can have a bias on PhD, and they can think that probably the PhD can't be satisfied with the job because it's too simple research for him or her. So that's my point of view. Sometimes we don't hire a PhD because the job we are offering, we think is not suitable for the level of complexity that he or she are used to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lea, anything to add on that?
Yeah, for BASF is a little different. I think in the huge companies like BASF, it's, let's say, we might have the old-fashioned way still, maybe, because for many positions, a PhD is a requirement. So you can't be a lab team leader in BASF's R&D in Germany without having a PhD. So I don't know exactly how it is. It might be handled different in different parts of the world, but so at least in Germany, it's a must-have, a PhD. And for for the engineers, it's always a plus to have a PhD. So it's not a requirement, but it's a plus. And it's quite interesting because one group leader just told me a few weeks ago, he said, I'm always looking a little bit on having a good distribution in my group. So he has a group of chemical engineers, and he wants to have not only PhDs, but yeah, at least a few with a master degree, because he wants to have a more diverse group.
Yes.
But for the scientists, so for the chemical or biological scientists studying as lab team leader, it's really a must-have.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I believe this to be indeed handled differently in different regions of Europe and of the world. That's for sure. So of course, one should always be aware, where is one applying? I think this is true in general. Where is one applying, and what is it? What is it that is expected there? So that also of course, we are becoming more and more flexible with where we are working, but I do believe that indeed regional differences still matter somehow. Maybe we have 5 more minutes. I think I'll take them to ask something that is also might be regional, and we saw this when we were preparing some questions for the panel, and it is. How is it generally perceived, and is it beneficial to get in contact with a reviewer when you are applying? So Simona, you were mentioning that maybe via LinkedIn. Maybe you could start and elaborate on that a little.
Yeah. For me, as I said before, it can be beneficial if you show interest in the specific areas or specific company, and if you show knowledge of the company. So it can be beneficial if you share what you can do for the company and why you are interested in this specific company. So for me, definitely yes. It starts a dialogue between people.
I see. And how should that happen? Like you mentioned LinkedIn, should we send a message or?
Yeah, just
I
a
see. Okay.
message on LinkedIn, and just to say that you would like to be in touch because you care for the company, you have seen something about the company, and you are, for example, completing your degree, and you would like to understand how is it to work in this kind of company, a chemical company, or so on.
Mhm. I'm very interested into the German perspective of this layer. I'm working in Germany myself.
Yeah. So I would say it can clearly give you an advantage to contact a recruiter or to contact beforehand, before you apply, but not for the selection process, but if you have questions. So if you have any questions, if anything was not clear for you in an application, then you can always contact the recruiter. I can tell from BASF perspective, in every job application, we have either email address or a telephone number of the respective recruiter and the name of the recruiter, of course. So you can always directly contact them, or this is what I also learned a few days ago, that we even have in these job postings, we always have a direct booking link, I think for short calls via Teams. So you can book yourself a 10-minute slot with the respective recruiter if you have any questions. But other than that, so it's never beneficial to stay, let's say, on top of a list or to make things faster, or it's only for your benefit to understand the role a little bit better, to ask, because I always get asked if the CVs has to be in English or German, and if you are not sure, contact the recruiter and ask. If you are worried that you do something wrong, or that you could be a fit or you could not be a fit, then you can always contact the recruiter. Yeah.
Thanks, Leah. Elise.
I tend to agree with Leah, at least from what we are practicing today. I mean, for me, contacting directly the recruiter is not cannot be a shortcut in the recruitment process. The recruiter will tell you, go to the platform, post your resume there, and apply directly on our platform. And I recommend that to my team, because I think also it's a source of, I would say, fairness. However, and equity and fairness in the way we manage the overall process. However, building on what Emanuele said, investing in building network within the company next to the role you are interested in. And so to move from I apply as anyone to now I have a referral that helped me to apply with fair shortcut, because I build a network. I show to someone who I am, what I can bring, and this person is comfortable to go to the internally. This person is able is comfortable to go to my team, to the recruitment team, saying, "I like this candidate for this role." Yes, that's useful. It's impactful, but that means investing time before to build a network, to identify the right contact. It's very powerful versus pushing to the recruiter. They don't know you, you don't know them. So in my view, it won't create it won't be beneficial.
I see. Any more points to add, or otherwise? I would say I have a minute, Theodoros. I see that you have turned on your camera, but I'm still going to take my minute. And I would like to go to all three of you to ask if you have any final word that you would like to give to the 140 people who is still with us today. So maybe Simona, you can start.
Be clear, concise in your communication. it shows you that it shows us that you can communicate effectively and that you care of our time. So this is my advice.
Lea.
Maybe something what I said before is don't apologize for normal life events. Be transparent. But also what we had before, build networks. That's super, super powerful. Go to job fairs, career events, and build networks. Yeah.
Elise.
Thanks, Sofia's presentation for your CV. I think it was very, very good tips. And what else can I say? I would reinforce the network. Invest in your in networking.
Lovely.
It's the best way to know you.
Yes. Thank you very much. And a small advertisement. We have been talking about networking. Join our section. If you want to network, we are quite cool at that. Otherwise, from my side, it will be it. I'm perfectly punctual and we are perfectly punctual. Thank you so much, Elise. Thank you so much, Lea. Thank you so much, Simona, for taking the time for being here today with us. I think it was a lot of fun and I hope it helped our young audience to get a step ahead. I see there's a lot of questions. We will try to answer them a little. We have answered many. We will keep some for next time. You can just get in touch and we will see what we can do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. So I would also like a bit to thank our three speakers, Lea, Elise, and Simona. Thank you very much for being in this roundtable. I think it was very fruitful. I would also like a lot to thank Sara. So she has done a lot of work in organizing this webinar that we delivered today. And thank you very much for putting all this hard work and for leading the team of the earliest on doing it. For oral participants, as Sara mentioned, please keep in you can get in touch with us. You can follow us on LinkedIn. You can get in contact with us if you would like to be members of our earliest community. And I hope we showed you through this webinar of all the nice things that we are doing, and you can be part of it, and you can help us organizing all the different task forces that we are doing. I would also like to thank Sofia and Emanuele for giving two very nice talks before the roundtable. And I would also like to thank the EFCE for giving us the chance to host this webinar. And with that, I would like to thank you all for staying with us until now. And this is the last spotlight talk of this March 2026 series. So we hope that you will join us in our future events. Thank you very much, everyone.